Hello and welcome to Easy English Stories. Today, you're about to experience something special, a powerful story that will not only captivate your heart, but also take your English skills to the next level. But this isn't just any story. This is an immersive experience designed to help you think in English, understand natural conversations, and improve your speaking skills faster than ever before. So, how can you get the most out of this lesson? The key is shadowing. What is shadowing? Shadowing is the most effective method for improving your speaking skills in English. It's simple. You listen and repeat what you hear as soon as possible, copying the pronunciation and rhythm of a native speaker. This technique trains your brain to think in English, improves your accent, and helps you speak fluently without hesitation. How can you use it in this video? First, just listen to the story and enjoy it. Let yourself get lost in the emotions, the characters, and the lesson behind it. Then, rewatch the video and repeat each sentence after me. Try to match my pronunciation and intonation as closely as possible. Do this every day, and you will be amazed at how quickly your speaking improves. Now, let's dive into today's story. It's Christmas Eve. Snow falls gently over a nearly empty train station. The cold air bites at Anna's skin as she pulls her coat tighter. She checks the time, 11:57 p.m., and hears an announcement that makes her stomach drop. The last train has departed. The next service will be at 6 a.m. Anna sighs. She was so close, just a few minutes earlier, and she would have been on that train, heading home for the holidays. But now, she is stranded, alone, in a nearly deserted station. She looks around. A few people rush past, eager to leave, but one figure catches her attention. A man sitting alone on a bench. He doesn't seem to be in a hurry. Unlike everyone else, he sits calmly, watching the world around him. Curious, Anna hesitates for a moment, then slowly walks toward the bench. Anna approached the bench cautiously, unsure if she should interrupt the man's quiet moment. He looked old, with deep lines on his face that hinted at years of experience. His eyes, however, held a sense of peace, almost as if he had all the time in the world. She hesitated, then finally spoke. "Excuse me, are you waiting for someone?" The man turned to her with a gentle smile. "No, not really. I just like watching people come and go." Anna sat down, rubbing her hands together for warmth. "I missed my train," she admitted with a sigh. "Now I have to wait here all night." The man chuckled softly. "Life has a funny way of making us slow down sometimes." Anna glanced at him, curious. "But why are you here so late if you're not waiting for anyone?" He leaned back, looking up at the falling snow. "Habit, I suppose. I've spent many nights in places like this, just observing, thinking." Anna felt an odd sense of comfort in his words. She had expected her night to be long and lonely, but maybe this unexpected encounter would make it something else entirely. Anna shifted on the cold bench, intrigued by the old man's calm demeanor. "You've spent many nights in places like this?" she asked. "Why?" The man smiled, his breath visible in the freezing air. "Because life doesn't always go as planned." He paused, then added, "I used to travel a lot. Trains, buses, even hitchhiking sometimes. I never really had a fixed destination, just places to be, people to meet." Anna frowned. "That sounds lonely. He chuckled. Maybe. But it also taught me something valuable. He looked at her. Do you know what the most beautiful thing about waiting is? She shook her head. It's the people you meet. Some are in a hurry, lost in their own world. Others, like you, stop for a moment. And in that moment, something special happens. Anna thought about that. Had she not missed her train, she would never have had this conversation. For the first time that night, she didn't feel frustrated. She felt curious. So, she said, if you've met so many people, what's the most interesting story you've ever heard? The old man's eyes twinkled. Now that's a good question. The old man leaned forward slightly, his expression thoughtful. There was one story, he began, that I will never forget. Anna adjusted her position, suddenly more alert. He continued. Years ago, I met a young man at a station much like this one. He had just lost his job, had no money left, and was afraid to go home because he felt like a failure. He sat on a bench, just staring at the ground, lost in his thoughts. Anna listened intently. I sat beside him. Just like I'm sitting with you now, the old man said. At first, he didn't want to talk. But then, little by little, he shared his story. He told me about his dreams, his struggles, and how he felt like he had reached the end of the road. Anna's breath slowed. Something about the story made her heart ache. And do you know what happened next? The old man asked. Anna shook her head. The man smiled. I told him something that changed his life. Anna leaned in, anticipation in her eyes. What did you say? The old man chuckled softly. I told him that the end of one road is just the beginning of another. Anna let the words sink in. The end of one road is just the beginning of another. She repeated them in her mind, feeling their weight. And did it really change his life? She asked. The old man nodded. He didn't realize it at first, but that night was a turning point for him. Instead of seeing failure, he started seeing opportunity. He went home, made a plan, and step by step, he rebuilt his life. Anna was silent for a moment. Then, almost in a whisper, she asked, And how do you know all of this? The old man smiled warmly. Because that young man was me. Anna's eyes widened. She hadn't expected that. I know what it's like to feel stuck, he continued. But I also know that sometimes the moments we think are the worst turn out to be the ones that change everything. Anna looked around the station. The quiet, the cold, the missed train. Suddenly, it didn't feel like a disaster anymore. Maybe, just maybe, this moment was happening for a reason. She turned back to the old man. Thank you for telling me this. He simply nodded. Sometimes we all need a reminder. Anna sat quietly, the weight of the old man's story settling in her heart. She had spent the whole night frustrated about missing her train, but now, she saw things differently. Maybe life wasn't about perfect timing. Maybe the delays, the unexpected moments, they all had a purpose. She glanced at the old man, who was now watching the snow fall with a peaceful expression. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had given up that night? She asked. He smiled. All the time. But that's the beauty of life. We never truly know where the next road leads until we take the first step. Anna nodded slowly. Maybe she wasn't as lost as she thought. A distant announcement echoed through the station. The next train would arrive soon. Anna looked at the man. "Will you take this train?" He chuckled. "No, my journey is different now. But yours is just beginning." Anna felt a strange warmth inside her chest. She stood up, feeling lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. "Thank you," she said sincerely. The old man simply nodded. "Safe travels, Anna." And just like that, the moment passed, but the lesson remained. As Anna stepped onto the train, she turned back one last time. The old man was still sitting there, watching the world with the same peaceful smile. For a brief second, she wondered if she would ever see him again. The train doors closed, and with a gentle motion, it began to move. Anna found a seat by the window, her reflection mixing with the snowy night outside. She thought about everything that had happened. Missing the train had felt like a mistake, but now she knew it was meant to happen. She pulled out her notebook and for the first time in a long while began to write. Not about frustration, not about regrets, but about possibilities. The end of one road is just the beginning of another. She smiled as she wrote the words, feeling their truth settle inside her. Outside, the train carried her forward into the unknown. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She was ready. And so her journey continued. And that's the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable along the way. If you want to improve even more, go back to the beginning of the video and practice shadowing with me. Repeat the sentences out loud and try to match the pronunciation and rhythm. Save this video to your favorites and keep practicing with it until you feel confident in your pronunciation. Consistency is the key to fluency. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this story, like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories to help you learn English. Check out our channel for more incredible stories like this one. Keep practicing and see you in the next video.